Good morning, everyone. It's Monday. It's February 16th, 2026, and you are looking live in Central West Virginia. I am your host, Tim Koger, and it's going to be a great week. I'm looking forward to it. So great to have you along. If you're watching me this morning, you are a morning warrior at 7:30. If you're still in bed at 7:30 or already at work, I'm sorry. You're going to miss it live. But the good news is you can watch it later. It's still here. It's available on multiple Facebook pages. It's also available on YouTube later when I get a chance to put it on. Sometimes it's days before I get a chance to do that. But, well, it's great to have everybody along. Like I said, I'm hoping we have some morning warriors with us. Let's shut down. I am the host. I am also the producer and director of this, so I do it all. Let me shut down the music, get it started. I'm a little disappointed my coffee cup is empty, but I'm still holding on to it. It's kind of like a crutch. I don't know why I'm holding on to it, but anyway, good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing good this morning. If you're with me, if you're watching this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, good afternoon. If you're watching it at 7 o'clock at night, good evening. We are starting a new week. I'm excited about another week because it's 1 week closer to spring, and I'm ready for spring. I don't know if anybody else is, but I am. Here we are in Central West Virginia. As I look out the window, it's going to be a rainy day. It's going to be a rainy week, it appears, by watching the 10-day forecast that I did earlier. And that's okay. I mean, we need rain, although we don't need it so bad right now. But, hey, there are times when we really need it. And there's no snow. I cannot see any snow out my window. Now, I'm sure there's still patches of snow around. I know I still have some ice in my walkway out back that build up inches and inches and still is melting, but not much. So anyway, it's about gone. There's some chance of some little snows again this year, but not very much. Before you know it, you'll be starting up those mowers for all you that mow grass like I do. And for the people who've been watching this for a while, I had 8 pine trees go down, 3 really large trees go down in my yard, and we've been slowly but surely getting rid of those. We're not finished. My goal was to get all that off the yard before I had to mow. I think I can probably do that. But anyway, I got some interesting stories today. Interesting to me. That's what I look for, things that interest me. And you can, like I said, you can watch this on It's New Every Morning Facebook page, or It's New Every Morning YouTube. It is President's Day. And this is podcast number 66 of who knows how many. But President's Day, and I started thinking, I was thinking about President's Day, and, I don't know how many holidays there are out there. Good morning, Susan. Nice to have you along. I'm not sure how many holidays, public holidays are out there and stuff. And so I started thinking, well, I wonder what the rest of the world does with holidays. And so I started looking. Now, the countries with the most holidays, national countries, is Burma, Bangladesh with 30, Bangladesh with 29, and Sri Lanka with 25. Those are the ones that have the most national holidays in 2026. Now, Burma and Sri Lanka are predominantly Buddhist, and many of their holidays tie around the lunar calendar. I found one holiday that I found kind of interesting. Is Sri Lanka, every full moon is a public holiday. Every full moon they have holidays, so that's pretty interesting. And I guess that's tied around their Buddhist beliefs. I don't know much about Buddhist beliefs, so I'm thinking that it's tied around the lunar calendar. There we go. Now, those are the ones that have the most. Who has the fewest holidays? Well, national holidays, the fewest is Switzerland. They have one national holiday. Now, they break their holidays up in segments of different regions, states per se, but they don't call them states. But technically, they just have one. Now, all the states, or not states, but all the regions in Switzerland have at least 8 holidays that are public. but they're not all the same because they all have their different ones because they're different people, and that's what they do. You know, and we do that some. I know in West Virginia, you know, we celebrate West Virginia Day, which is June 20th, because that's kind of when we started, you know. And so different states have some state holidays, but federal-wise, they only have one. Now, the next fewest is Bosnia, Herzegovina, which didn't know that existed, and I had to look it up to see how to pronounce it. But Herzegovina, I think it's pretty close. And Uruguay, those are the next that have fewest, and they have like 4 to 5 respectively, and that's it in those places. So, you know, I wanted to keep looking. So the most popular worldwide holiday is New Year's Day. Yeah. 169 countries celebrate New Year's Day. Not surprising since, you know, let's face it, not everybody, but most people use the same calendar, so the first day of the year would be the same. And of course, you know, because the world goes all the way around, it takes a while to go. You know, some obviously celebrate that earlier than others because midnight comes earlier than others. But anyway, now every UN nation has a public holiday to celebrate their Independence Day or National Day, you know, because the UN people are, you know, by and large, free countries. Not too many communist countries have an Independence Day, if you know what I mean, because they haven't had independence. Or if they had independence and went back into communism, they probably don't let them celebrate that day very, very loud. But anyway, you know, so that's next. Now, the next, we start seeing some Christian beliefs come into holidays, because Christmas, which is a Christian holiday, but also secular in many avenues, i.e. Santa Claus, you know, it's celebrated by 154 countries worldwide. So it's that shows you the power of Christianity worldwide. You know, there's other celebrations around that, like, for example, you know, Christmas being the 25th of December. On the 26th of December, there's 68 countries that celebrate something on the 26th. The most common one is Boxing Day. Now, we don't celebrate Boxing Day here. Good morning, Janet. Nice to have you up at 7:30 this morning. We don't celebrate Boxing Day here. I think they do in Canada. That's the day after Christmas for a lot of places. I don't know what that is. I know St. Stephen's Day is another celebration on the day after Christmas. I don't know who celebrates that. We don't here. I'm familiar with who Stephen is. That's a Christian type thing, Christian holiday. But Boxing Day, I don't know. If you guys know all about Boxing Day, you can fill me in. A couple other Christian-oriented celebrations throughout the world is Good Friday. It's a public holiday in 98 countries, and Easter Monday is celebrated in 87 countries. So there you go. That's the walk down on holidays. Hope you learned something there. I know I did. Okay, so next thing that you may learn, if you are one of the 4 million Americans that bought a new car last year, congratulations. Not because you have a car, but because there's some tax breaks. You know, a big tax break that was started, I guess it was in car loan tax deduction is what it's called. And it was in the big, beautiful bill. Good morning, Donna. Nice to have you up and about on this Monday morning. The Republicans' Big, Beautiful Bill Act that the president signed into law last summer had this in it. Now, President Trump, at that time, Mr. Trump, first threw out the idea in the campaign in 2024, and he made good on his promise to try to do that. And it dramatically makes, you know, more affordable, if possible, if that's possible. One of the reasons they did it is to boost production of domestic cars. Now, the experts say, you know, those experts, they got committees everywhere. They say this new deduction could provide relief in the hundreds of dollars and even in the thousands of dollars for some eligible taxpayers. So if you bought a new car in 2025, be sure that your person that does your taxes knows all about that for sure. You need to be sure they know. So my next story is about Mardi Gras. Now, how much do you know about Mardi Gras? I mean, I knew generally about Mardi Gras, but as I did a deep dive, because that's starting, it's starting now. I did a deep dive into it, and I wanted to learn, well, not a real deep dive, a somewhat shallow dive into Mardi Gras and how it works. And now Mardi Gras around the world is not called Mardi Gras. It's called Carnival. Okay? But of course, we think of Mardi Gras here in the United States. Now, the first recorded American Mardi Gras was not in New Orleans. It was in Alabama. And the first recognized Mardi Gras was in Mobile, Alabama in 1830 and 31. And it was on New Year's Eve. It wasn't even on the same time. But that was in 30 and 31. By 18 and 40, they were having some fun there in Alabama. And they incorporated in customs and masks and themes. And they had a parade, all that stuff. So it was growing. Now, after the Civil War, Mardi Gras was moved to a more traditional date of Fat Tuesday. Now, if you don't know when Fat Tuesday is, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right? It was moved to Fat Tuesday. By 1850, this is after Civil War now, just soon after, a group from Mobile, Alabama moved to New Orleans and took their traditions with them. And that's the reason we have it in New Orleans, because they took it there and it grew it there. Now, the word Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday. Now, what is Fat Tuesday if you don't know? Well, Fat Tuesday earned its name because it's the last day before Ash Wednesday, when a lot of people start the Lenten season and they sacrifice something, they give up something for Lent. So Fat Tuesday is the last day you can do all these things that for 40 days you can't do. So Mardi Gras literally means Fat Tuesday. Now, Carnival, the worldwide thing, is also tied to that, to the Lenten season. And that word is Latin for removal of meat. Removal of meat. That's what Carnival is for. So once again, through this Lenten season, and for people that don't know about the Lenten season, it starts on Ash Wednesday. It ends on Palm Sunday. It's a 40-day fast that commemorates Jesus' 40-day fast that he did in the wilderness, for people that don't know. There's other 40-day examples, but that's the most popular one. So anyway, removal of meat, because in the early times of Lenten season, meat, and still today, I think the Catholics don't eat any meat but fish, and only eat fish one time a week or something. I don't know. I'm not Catholic. You can look that up. If you're Catholic, you can explain to me later or on here what that is. But anyway, so that's the Lenten season. That's what Fat Tuesday came from. That's where Mardi Gras came from, around the idea of Lenten season. Who would have known? But there's one more piece of information I found interesting that I want to share with you. If you by chance go to Mardi Gras, and if you by chance ride a float, you are required by law, by the city law of New Orleans, you're required to wear a mask. You can't ride on a float without a mask. City law. I thought that was kind of interesting. So, my next story is one that I also found interesting, so I want to share with you. What is the most important indicator of successful relationships? Now, you may have your own idea of what the most important thing is, but in 2019, I realize that's kind of old study, but I think this is pretty accurate. They found that the one trait in particular in successful relationships was humility. Humility. Now, when you hear the word humility, people have some different perspectives about it, because sometimes humility can get confused with like low self-esteem or meekness or low confidence, things like that. But that's really not what humility is. And I'm going to try to explain to you what I understand it to be and what other researchers say. But researchers came to realize that being humble generally indicates a presence of deeply admirable personal qualities. Humility is actually something really good. Now, they try to explain it as the ability to accurately understand your deficiencies without denying your skills and strengths. For example, you might recognize that you're smart, like me, for example. You might recognize that you're smart, But it would be absurd to call yourself all-knowing because there's so much to know. No one knows everything. So while I might joke about being all-knowing, and other people may joke about being all-knowing, hopefully they're joking. They're joking because they're not all-knowing. So basically, my understanding of humility, and you can do your research if you want, but it's being humble with an honest view of yourself and your shortcomings, as well as an honest view and not forgetting your skills and strengths. So it's a balance between knowing you have shortcomings and knowing you have strengths. And that balance of knowing that is what keeps you humble, because once you start thinking a little bit too much of yourself, your shortcomings will bring you back. And once you start thinking too little of yourself, your strength will bring you back. So having that balance in your life is what humbleness is. Okay? So that's my understanding. You can have your understanding. Feel free to comment about that and see if you agree, disagree, or do your own research. But that's the way I understand it, and I think it's correct. All right, so I'm going to leave you with a final quote from Billy Sunday. If you don't know who Billy Sunday is, it's a fabulous read. Maybe I'll do a story on here about Billy Sunday sometime. Maybe Friday, because he's a really interesting character in history. But anyway, this is his quote. Temptation is the devil looking through the keyhole. Yielding is opening the door and inviting him in. That's the quote from Billy Sunday. I'll read it again. Temptation is the devil looking through the keyhole. Yielding is opening the door and inviting him in. So don't open that door when Satan's looking through the keyhole, all right? Don't be doing that. Or the devil in this case, as he said. In fact, I suggest that if you're looking through the keyhole, find yourself a screwdriver and jam it in that keyhole. Maybe he'll put his eye out. All right? So anyway, listen, you guys have a wonderful week. I'm looking forward to the week. I'm excited about the week. Feel free to comment anytime throughout the day if you watch this. That'd be great. I want to grow this. So, if you're enjoying this with me, whenever you're watching it, share with your friends. Tell them about it. And let's grow this audience so more people can enjoy this little short period of time of fun. All right? You guys be blessed. Have a great week, and I'll see you Friday at 7:30 a.m. Bye-bye.